what's up you guys? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's Sherry here, and today's video it's every single thing that you should know before an internship. Fun fact, I'm actually on my 7th internship right now, so I know exactly how tedious, how confusing and how tiring the entire process may be, especially if it's your first time applying for an internship. So there's a few reasons why I'm making this video, but the biggest reason why I'm making this video is because I genuinely feel that internships are very helpful, and I want to make sure that it's as easy for you to go through this entire process. If you want to watch a video on my top 3 personal reasons on why I feel internships are very valuable and important, especially before you enter the workforce, please click and watch the video over here. Generally speaking, I'm a huge proponent of internships because I feel like it really developed me holistically as a person and also helped me to get a lot more prepared for the workforce. However, along the way, I may not have maximized every single one of the opportunities that I had just because I was not as mindful or aware before or intentional before, and I don't want you to go through the same mistake. I want to make sure that you are optimizing your entire internship process. And the second main reason why I'm making this video is because I genuinely felt like in the beginning of this entire internship journey that I had, I was very lost and I didn't really know what was going on. So I genuinely felt like back then in the day or even today, there weren't enough resources either online or in the student community of my university to guide me through what I should be doing to apply for these internships. And I want to be this helpful resource for you. With this type of transparency about my entire internship journey and internship application process, I really hope that this will put your mind at ease and also make you a lot more mentally and even physically prepared for what an internship will entail when the time comes for you. I've broken down the video into 3 main phases. The first phase is everything that you should know before an internship. This includes the research process, the application process, and also the interviewing process. The second phase of the video is all about what you should be doing when you nailed down your internship, things that you should be doing during your internship, and things that you should not be doing during your internship. I've also infused the entire video with a lot of my own personal tips and tricks to help to make this video as helpful as possible. For the last phase of the video, it's everything that you should know after an internship. This will include the offboarding that you'll be going through, and also how to ask for a recommendation or a testimonial, and also how to tie up all the loose ends in terms of the documents that your company has given to you or assets that your company has given to you. Along the way, if you have any extra tips and comments, please share them down in the comment section below, because this is all advice from one person, which is myself. I think a lot of my friends and even a lot of the seniors that I have will have better tips than me, and ultimately I hope that this video will be an awesome resource for you. Okay, so phase 1, what you should be doing before an internship. Before an internship, please know your purpose of why you are getting an internship. For example, in my very first internship, I just jumped straight into the first one that I was offered because I was like, okay, everyone's getting an internship, maybe I should just try one for myself. I was spending a lot of my time in the internship finding out things, but it wasn't as goal-focused or it wasn't as purposeful as I should have made it. So what you should be doing is basically setting your mind and aligning with yourself as to why you want to take up this internship. So I can give you a live example. My latest internship is actually at an e-commerce company, and it's a startup company, and it's also a B2C company. A lot of my previous internships were not B2C focused. Some of them were B2B focused or B2B2C focused, and what I wanted to experience for myself was actually a B2C environment. Another reason why I actually wanted to intern at this company is because it's still a startup, and I definitely love startups, but I just really wanted to see what a big growing startup at a Series B stage would offer, because I had no idea what it would be like before. And actually, the third reason why I really wanted to intern at this company is because it's an e-commerce company. So before this internship, I've never actually stepped foot into a FMCG/e-commerce/tech company at all, and this company was actually a very good eye-opener for me. By setting my intentions, I basically knew what I wanted to find out, making my entire internship a lot smoother in advance. Another thing that you definitely should be doing after setting your intention is to go straight into the research phase. And what I mean by research is basically across a lot of different dimensions. The first way that you want to do your research is, of course, looking through different companies' websites, different companies' job descriptions, and of course looking at the general vibe of the company and asking from your friends and family what they think about this company. However, this is actually pretty superficial. You want to go deeper into that. Do check out their social media accounts, and also check out the Glassdoor reviews that they may have on their profile. This was actually very helpful for me to mind prep myself into the exact work culture that I would be putting myself myself in. For example, the company I'm interning at right now, they are basically known to have longer working hours just because it's a startup and everyone really puts their blood, sweat and tears into the company. And before saying yes to this internship, I was fully aware of this and I fully took it on. By putting your expectations aligned with the reality, it will make you a lot happier during your internship in general. This is something that I wish I found out for my first few internships, because for some of the internships I had to OT or do out of time multiple times and I wasn't prepared for it at all. Not saying that it was a bad thing, but I just wish I knew beforehand. Another layer of research that you will definitely want to do is to actually do a research or a background check on the people that you will be working with, especially if they are in your country and your department and your direct manager or your direct colleagues or your direct teammates. I think what's very important is to actually go on LinkedIn and to basically review them and just know who you're working with, find out their personalities, their management styles, their leadership styles, and also their working styles, just so that again you can align your expectations with the reality. And it will help you to be a lot more prepared when you actually execute your projects, because you know the kind of people that you are working with in the first place. So something that I would personally do is to basically go on LinkedIn and basically just read some of the testimonials and recommendations that have been written about this person to get a glimpse of insight on what kind of worker they are. Another thing that you can do is also to read some of the articles that they have written before on LinkedIn or different posts that they have written to just see where their interest lies. I know this sounds very creepy, but I mean it in the most well-intentioned way as possible. Basically just know who you're working with. Another type of research that you want to do is really during the interview itself. I want you to also prepare a list of questions that you want to ask the company so that you know exactly what is going on when you actually arrive at your internship. Who is the one actually going to manage you and who are you reporting to? Another question you can ask is what your goals and KPIs will be. Another question you can ask is basically what kind of metrics they'll be looking at to judge your performance. I think this is actually very important for you to know. And another thing that you can also ask is what's the definition of success at a company that you want to intern at. By having a huge list of questions while researching the company, it will make your interview process a lot more intentional to make sure that your expectations are aligned with the reality as much as possible. So after researching a lot of different companies and finding out what you want for yourself, I think the most important right now is to actually talk about finding an internship, or so-called applying for all these different internships. And I know it can be a very messy world out there. It's a whole ocean of internships for you to explore and dive deep into. So let's just go fishing right now. That was a really bad pun, I'm so sorry about that. So I'm going to go through some of the channels that you can actually find different internships. So one of my favorite channels is actually through the school's emails, and I know, trust me, I used to never care about my school emails, but ever since reaching university, I realized how valuable all these emails are, and I'm very thankful to the school for them. So at least for my university, which is the National University of Singapore, we all the time have newsletters and emails from different companies asking for interns. And this is actually very helpful, because most of the time your school email will link you back to a school portal, which will allow you to directly apply for internships through there. And essentially, once you set up your account on your school's portal, a lot of companies that are looking for interns can actually see your profile immediately, and basically it will shorten the entire application process, because most of the time when a company sends their EDM or your email to a school, they are most likely already looking out for students from that school to apply to their company. And I hope that makes a lot of sense, but essentially please flag all your school emails, because they're going to be super important when you're looking for internships. Definitely there'll be a lot of networking events that your school will organize, so make sure that you can also attend them and also spot different booths that you're interested in, so that you can also ask if there are any internship opportunities available. My third resource is actually one of my most favorite resources, which is through LinkedIn. Now, actually what I love about LinkedIn is that it's so easy for you to get notifications on internships in the field or in an industry that you're interested in. So for myself, for example, I love to flag out marketing internships at any company that is related in the tech space, the FMCG space, and in the aerospace industries. And this has helped to make my search a lot more hands-free. Another resource that you can definitely use is AngelList. This one is a lot more for startup companies. However, I really love this platform. Basically, in one click, you can apply for all these different internships, very similar to LinkedIn. Another platform that I actually really like to use was the Y Combinator platform, or the Startup School platform. So essentially, I actually interned at a Y Combinator company once, and it was super cool. And basically what happens after that is that you get access into this Y Combinator platform, and when you put your resume out there, a lot of Y Combinator companies can actually see your profile and ask you for an internship directly through email or through the portal. Right now, actually, because of COVID-19, another thing that I've really been looking at would be a lot of the government-supported internships. So if you can, definitely check out some of the websites and resources. I'm gonna link them down below. And I cannot remember every single one of them, but I'll do my best to collate all of them and put it into the description box. So definitely do check out those links. Essentially, the Singapore government is really looking for ways to help companies to get interns, and this is one awesome channel that you can get an internship from. And the last channel is actually something that's very helpful and very important and underspoken about. What's it called? Undervalued, underrated? Yes, underrated. So essentially, friends and family and colleagues referrals are extremely important. Actually, that's how I got 3 out of 7 of my internships. Connections can go a very long way. I'm sure you guys have realized that by now. So that's definitely something that I would tap on as well, especially if you have a good recommendation or testimonial from your previous internship. This is another great way to actually get your next internship. Actually, another very good resource to go to is to basically go to the startup community and ask different founders if they are looking for interns, especially at different networking events. Basically, we also have another building called IQ, which allows all the different startup founders within the NUS community to have a company over there, and they have a ton of events every single time, and I believe a lot of founders are literally home there. So if you can go there and ask different founders if they're looking for interns, that's another great shortcut to get an internship just through meeting different people. The best thing about working at a startup is that they're usually very flexible. So for example, if you can only take up a part-time internship where it's only a few hours a week, and a lot of the bigger companies don't allow for that, startups may actually be flexible enough for you to do so. So for NUS, we're actually very fortunate because we have this thing called NUS Overseas Colleges, which is an entire program dedicated to getting you an internship. And another platform, of course, is through the websites of different companies itself. A bonus tip that I have is that if you have a calendar, it would be awesome for you to basically list down all the different closing dates for every single application process, because you don't want to lose track on when an application closes. That's actually extremely important, especially if your company is MNC. It's very hard for them to open up the application process again just because of protocols and guidelines that they have internally as well. So a huge bonus tip that I have for you guys is to apply for as many different internships as much as possible, and please do not be afraid of rejection at all. I think it's very important to have that kind of resilience, to not be afraid of rejection. In fact, rejection is such a normal thing, and trust me, I did a lot of sales and BD in the beginning, and I know how rejection may seem very scary, but it's really not. Now let's go through the application process. So I know this is actually a lot to go through, but essentially some of the materials that you will need will be definitely your LinkedIn profile. You also need your resume, you also need a cover letter, and essentially these are the 3 main things. And an additional bonus tip over here is that for myself, I know that I'm actually interested in 3 different kinds of industries, which is tech, FMCG, and aerospace. So what I'll actually do is that I'll create a resume just separately for each of the different companies that I want to apply for, accompanied with a cover letter template for each of the industries that I will want to apply for. And this has actually saved me a ton of time during my internship process, because I'm the kind of person that will want to apply for as many things as possible, and I cannot be drafting up a new resume every single time for each company. It will just take up way too much time. A lot of the times when I'm applying for different companies, they will ask you a few standard different questions, and what I do is that I will actually have a document or a section where I actually store the question plus my answer to that question. So in the future, different application processes, if the same question is asked or if a similar question is asked, I can basically just copy and paste the answer without going through the hassle of writing everything again in the exact same format. After you do all that, you want to make sure that you brush up on your interview skills. Now, if you're in NUS, you definitely have ST1002 or something like that, where you can actually brush up your interview skills and your resume, which is incredible. I highly actually think it's actually very important, but a lot of people make fun of it, but it's actually very important. Or you can actually do your own research and improve your own interviewing skills. Another thing to note is that for many of the interviews, it may be one-to-one or it may be a one-to-group panel, so you want to make sure that you're mentally prepared for that kind of level of interview. Another thing you want to know is that some of the interviews are physical and some of the interviews are over the phone, and some of the interviews are video recorded. And yes, I know it can be very stressful, but you want to practice how to talk to a camera and how to record yourself on the camera if needed, because many different companies may actually do that, especially nowadays in the post-COVID-19 world. And you can tell me that you're great at speaking with people in real life and you're awesome at doing an interview, but trust me, it's nothing like talking to a camera. In fact, right now I'm talking to a camera and I feel 10 times awkward compared to talking to a human being. So now that we've talked about all the difficult things, we can also talk right now about the different types of applications so that your mind is actually prepared for this. So we're doing something called a Pythagoras theorem, a biometrics test, where actually companies use this system a lot to fish out your personality, to fish out your strengths and weaknesses, and to basically kind of guess what kind of human being you are. You may agree with it, you may not agree with it, but basically a lot of big MNCs use biometric tests to gauge how employable you are. And I know that sounds very dystopian, I know it sounds very sci-fi, but that's the reality of it all. If you can, take the time to go and watch some YouTube videos about it before actually doing the test, and it'll help you a lot. Before I end off this segment, I just want to give you guys a little bit of encouragement, because this was something that I wish I heard when I was younger. So a lot of the time you may feel very, you may have this kind of like imposter syndrome, or you may feel like you're not good enough, or you're afraid that you don't have enough experience. But trust me, the whole point of an internship is to basically learn on the job. So please do not feel afraid or feel impeded at applying at all, no matter how competitive you think it is, or no matter how tough you think this internship is going to be. But trust me when I say that it's actually okay to not know some of the things that's in the job description, and it's completely okay to learn on the job. Now, another huge thing that I definitely need to talk about is about what you should be doing right before signing on your internship. So you'll be given a contract, and to a student who has never really dealt with a lot of contracts in her life, because I'm not in the law school, it's actually a bit intimidating. What you want to do is to really go line by line and read the contract, and if you can, definitely get a parent or a teacher or a senior to help you to just make sure you know what you're signing yourself into. I can't really say too much about this because I'm definitely no expert in the field, but definitely pay attention to the contract that you are signing, because it is a legal contract and you just don't want to get into any trouble, or you don't want any kind of miscommunication, which may make you more upset in the future. For example, one of the internships that I've seen before has a contract clause that says that if you want to quit, you need to give 1 month of your salary, which is actually a very, very big deal. Of course, I never wanted to quit, or I never had the intention to quit, but I knew a few of my colleagues or like my intern friends that wanted to quit, and they had to give 1 month worth of their salary up front, which was insane apparently. So all these are different contract clauses that you may want to pay attention to. Another clause that you may want to look into is really what you need to do in terms of getting your pay. So a lot of different companies have a very different paying method. Some may be per month, some may be with CPF or without CPF, and some may be per hour. So you just want to make sure that you are aligned in terms of all these upfront and transparently. And please, please, please learn from me and make sure that whatever's written in the contract is something that you are agreeing to. And last but not least, it's okay to say no. So along the way, you'll be offered many different internship offers, or you may be tempted to join another internship, or you may be wanting to stay in your internship and say no to external offers. Whatever it is, just know that it's completely okay to say no, and it's actually completely fine to reject an internship. Only if you have not signed the contract. So I think this is actually something that's very important, because most of the time I have definitely had instances where I felt peer pressured or like employer pressured to sign a contract, and if the clauses are not okay with you, it's completely okay to say no. Especially if you are an intern right now and you're undergrad and you need to prioritize your studies, employers will always understand that. So just feel free to say no. I think this is actually a very important tip, because a lot of the time, not even just for internships, but in life in general, it may be very intimidating to say no. But I just want to remind you that it is an option. Okay, so that was a lot of work. Okay, right now you have signed on your internship, and now you have no idea what's happening because you're waiting for your first day of work. Okay, so this is things that you should do and should not do on the job, and of course this can be an entire video in and of itself, so I'm gonna keep it as short and sweet as possible, but at the same time as helpful as possible. These are the things that I find the most important, so just make sure that you know these fundamental things. And if you have more questions, feel free to comment down in the comment section below. You're gonna be awaiting for your first day of work. And what you'll be doing up till then is most likely a little bit of onboarding. And what I mean by onboarding is that you may have a one-to-one with your manager, and they may tell you what to expect. So they'll tell you things to bring, things you don't have to bring on your first day of work. When you're going into your first day of work, it's actually very, very important for you to know the dress code. And now I cannot tell you how important this is, but there were probably 2 internships out of my 7 where I just looked very, very out of place because I was way more formal than I should have been, or way differently dressed than what I should have been. For example, on one of my internships on the first day of work, I literally looked like a law intern. I was wearing like black and white, and it was like a pencil skirt, and I looked very, very professional. However, the company actually wanted me to dress in a very corporate, colorful style, put on a lot of makeup, look as colorful as possible, because it was more of a client-facing job. So just by nature, if you Google like internship outfits, you may find something that's completely different from what your employer may expect. And because of that, I had to basically last minute buy a lot of random makeup and a lot of clothes and a lot of random like court shoes that I could wear to work rather than what I was wearing before. Even though it was very formal and even though it was very proper, it just did not fit the dress code of the company. Another thing you want to know is that on your first day of work, please bring your laptop charger. There's been one time where I forgot to bring my laptop charger on my first day of work, and it was kind of awkward because it's not a very good impression to set. Please learn from your mistakes and bring your own items to sustain your laptop. Yes. Another thing to note is to just be prepared for work socialization. So for example, during lunch, there's a high chance that your lunch team will want you to come on board with lunch with them. Try not to make any lunch plans, especially if it's your first week of work, because you may never know when you get invited for a work lunch team event or something like that, and you don't want to like cancel on your friend last minute as well. So just make sure that you keep your schedule clear, and also be very open to work socialization, especially if it's in your team, especially if it's from your company, because these relationships will go a very long way, and you have only such a short time with everyone. So just make sure that you're prepared to really socialize at work. I know for many introverts it may be very tiring, but trust me when I say that it's really important for your career in the future. You don't want to look like you're someone that excludes other people, or you don't want to look like you just don't care about the people in your company. Something to note on your onboarding is that most likely, or may not, they will tell you your KPIs or the goals that you need to achieve, or some of the goals that they have planned out for you. What's very important for you is to be very upfront in your own personal goals as well, which is why you need to know why you joined the internship in the first place, and to just let them know the things that you're interested in. And your manager will be most likely on board to help you out with your own personal goals. Another thing is that they will set goals for you, and it's very important for you to understand these goals, because most likely these metrics are the things that your employer will be looking at to judge your performance. Another thing also to note is that when you are on your internship, it's actually very important for you to also meet the team. So on the first day of work, most likely your manager will be bringing you around to introduce you to many different people, and ultimately what you want to understand is that every single person in the company has their own form of KPI, either quantitative or qualitative, and what you want to do is to basically understand what will make that person click, and what will make that person happy, and what will make that person perform better. Once you know the different things that people care about at work, it will make your life a lot easier, because you kind of know when you're having a certain project that you just want to make sure that you are aligning yourself with the goals of other people as well, and that will make your projects a lot more seamless in the future. Another thing to note is that as an intern, you'll probably be asked to listen in to a lot of different meetings, and it can be very intriguing. Just listen up, and please don't look sleepy and don't look tired, and take notes. Something to note is that as an intern, you may be asked to take the minutes of a meeting, which may sound very boring and everything, but actually it's very important, because people may refer to the minutes in the future, so you are definitely making a difference. Another thing that you should also know is about your job scope. Now, a lot of the time during an internship, you may be asked to do things that's out of your job scope, and to me that's actually completely normal, and in fact this has happened a lot. I don't know if it's right, I don't know if it's wrong, but that being said, please be mentally prepared that you may be doing work that's out of your job scope. From doing things that is more related to financial documentation, from doing things that's a lot more admin related, from doing things that's a lot more logistics related or operationals related. You may be asked to do very different things, and just soak it up as part of the internship experience, because all along, something that I want you to know is that an internship is about supporting your manager, and the earlier you realize this, the earlier you realize that everything that you do really has a big impact on the community that you are in, and it also impacts the company. You also need to know that sometimes you actually need to work out of hours, and that may be a normal thing or an abnormal thing depending on the industry that you are in. So this is where the Glassdoor reviews come into play a lot, because some of the times I hear my intern friends complaining that they have to do OT, which is unpaid, and sometimes it's actually completely part of the work culture. So just know that when you're on an internship, you're really signing up for full experience. Take it as a learning opportunity, because you'll never know what it's like until you do it yourself. And of course, sometimes it may come to you as something you did not expect. So please make sure that you do your research well and to mentally prepare yourself for it. So there's a few bonus tips that I have. The first tip is that an internship is really what you make of it. And something to note is that the more you ask for opportunities, the more opportunities you'll get. The more you want to do less things, the less opportunities you'll get. And ultimately, it's really up to you whether you want to maximize your time at the internship or not. So really feel free to just explore this space and to basically see what works best for you. Another quick bonus tip I have is that work is temporary, and I know this sounds very strange because it's in the middle of this internship video and I keep saying that internships are very important, but just note that work is temporary in the sense to not not let work affect your mental health or your personal life too severely. And what I mean by that is that at some times you may be feeling very tired. I think that's normal, I think that's okay. However, if you're feeling very stressed at work, or you feel like you are afraid of something, or you feel very anxious, do try and take a step back to relax yourself a little bit at times, because you just want to know that this internship ultimately is for you to have a good experience and a good learning experience, and just make sure that you are mentally healthy when this whole thing is happening. What I just mean by this is just to really take care of yourself and to know that work is temporary. And my last bonus tip that I have is that to really take your internship seriously. Now, I know that internships can sound very fun, especially sometimes on what I portray on social media, but ultimately I'm definitely aligned with the same page, which is internship is still work. Work in the sense that it's a company really needs to feed their employees, a company really needs to feed their employees' families. So it's actually ultimately a very serious business in a sense. So what I mean by that is sometimes you may have to do work that you may not want to do and things like that, but ultimately it's to really support this huge ecosystem, which is to really create jobs and feed families ultimately. And my fourth bonus tip is that work buddies are critical. In the past, I actually had a lot of fun doing a remote internship until I realized the beauty of a work buddy. Your work buddies are basically defined to me as human beings that are here during your workplace to basically be here to support you. So remember what I mentioned about how work is for you to support each other. Ultimately, your work buddies will be here to support you and also to really understand the pain that you're going through at certain times of the day, and also to celebrate your successes together with you. Ultimately, your entire work company and your work people is a team or is a family, and you want to make sure that you guys are all taking care of each other. Having a work buddy will definitely go a much longer way, especially on days that are longer, especially on days that seem more tiring, and especially on days where you feel like the day is just never ending. So that was a lot of information to process, but now let's imagine you have been in your internship for the past 6 months or a year, and you're done with this internship and you're ready to sign it off and everything like that. It's definitely going to be a bittersweet moment because of all the memories you've accumulated, but of course work is work and everyone's always happy to pangkang, so let's just talk about this part. So what happens is that at the end of your internship, you're gonna be asked to basically sign a contract to terminate the internship, and this is actually a very normal part or procedure throughout any kind of employment. Of course, some companies may not have this process, but let's just say you have signed a contract. The next thing you need to do is to really just follow up with a very sweet email, just saying thank you for everyone's time, and also to just be very open about what you've learned and what you really enjoyed about the internship, and also ways that you want to contribute in the future. Another way to also end off the internship is to basically ask your manager or your colleagues or your direct boss for a recommendation, either in the form of a testimonial that's written on a document, or really to ask for a testimonial on LinkedIn. And I cannot stress how important these two tips are, and these recommendations will definitely help you a very long way. Another thing that I see that people are actually very confused about is about asking for a testimonial. I think it's actually very okay to ask for a testimonial. However, you want to give your boss the least effort and resistance from their side because they're extremely busy, trust me. So what you want to do is to create a draft testimonial for yourself and basically send it to them and ask them if it's okay for them to sign it, or to copy and paste it and put it on your LinkedIn. This will actually make your time a lot more seamless. That being said, I actually did this for a lot of my first few internships, and over time you just see the rapport that you have with your boss. If your boss is very happy to write about you, you may not have to do this step. It's really up to the culture and the relationship that you have with you and your manager. Another big thing to note about after an internship is about offboarding. So some of the time you have created a process, or you have created different pieces of work that needs instructions for the next person to onboard your work. It's very important for you to have an offboarding presentation or offboarding document or an offboarding email that explains to them step by step what they need to do in order to get your job done that you are now leaving for the next person. You can take it as an instruction manual or something like that, but basically to just teach people how to take up your work scope so that they can do it seamlessly. The last thing that you need to do is to really wrap up any documents or assets that your company has given to you. So for example, what will happen is that most likely you have to do a few admin things to get yourself off Gmail, Slack, Asana, Jira, every single work software to be offboarded from it cleanly. And another thing is that if your company has given you a laptop or something like that, you'll definitely have to clean it up and return it to them. Another thing that you can do also is that if you see any interns that's onboarding into your company, the best thing to do is to really have a chat with them, or to just maintain a relationship with them, so that it'll make their lives a lot easier, and they can actually ask you questions and you can answer it to them directly. I know this is actually some extra work, but definitely it will help the next intern along the way, and you may really form a friendship with them. Last but not least, Another bonus tip to note is that even after you have left the company, if people invite you for a work event, it's just completely fine for you to go as a so-called alumni or like an ex-intern, and really you can have the chance to meet the future interns over there and give them your advice and your best tips and tricks. So to wrap everything up, really thank you for watching this really long video, but I really hope that the details in this video really helped you. Ultimately, an internship is all about a holistic experience of self-growth, and also to hone your hard skills, soft skills and your confidence, and also to learn your personality, working style, management style and leadership style, and also to pick up the work lingo that you have, etc and etc. There's so many awesome things along the way, and I really hope that this video has helped to prepare you mentally and physically about what you need to expect when the time comes for you to actually enter your internship. So I'm going to be making future videos about my internships, and speaking of future videos, definitely check out my next video where I share with you some personal tips and advice for new interns. And trust me when I say that this video will be very helpful for you, especially if you're already embarking on an internship or about to embark on one. So make sure you hit the subscribe button and notification bell to make sure that you know when my next video comes out. So thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope that this video has been very helpful for you. If you know a friend who's about to embark on an internship or is very confused about an internship, definitely send this video and share it with them. See you guys in my next video. Thank you!